A brewing shift in Thailand's political landscape. The country's constitutional court has dissolved its main opposition party, Move Forward, and banned its famous former leader, Pita Limjaroenrat, from politics for 10 years.
It follows a ruling that the group violated the constitution by proposing to amend the kingdom's royal defamation law. The European Union, the US, the United Nations, and human rights groups have blasted the court's decision. Move Forward was the biggest winner at the general elections in May last year, but subsequently was blocked from forming a government.
Pita, who led the Reformist Party to its shock election victory, has vowed that this is not the end of the road for his political career. He said Move Forward would continue via a new vehicle. For more insight, let's speak now with Professor Thitinan Pongsudhirak. He's an executive director at the Institute of Security and International Studies at Chulalongkorn University. Thank you very much for joining us, Professor. It seems more or less a repeat of what happened back in 2020 when then Future Forward Party was dissolved. I mean, how does the latest verdict compare to previous dissolutions in the country? Are there any notable differences in the legal and political context?
Yes, of course. If anyone has followed Thai politics over the last 2 decades, he or she would have seen that we've had multiple party dissolutions. More than 30 parties have been dissolved over the last 2 decades. Now, it's not just any ordinary party, but including the largest winning parties in 2007, 2008, 2019, and 2020. You refer to the Future Forward Party. This is the predecessor of the Move Forward. It's a movement. A lot of the young people, a lot of people who think that Thailand has squandered its future. If you look at Thailand now, it's nowhere to be seen in many radars, right? I mean, the country is at a standstill. There's signs of economic stagnation. So a lot of young people and also older people across the country, they want a better future. They want the future back. So last year we had the election after Future Forward was dissolved similarly in February 2020, igniting protests for a year, and the protests were suppressed. So last year the successor party Move Forward won the election, stunning victory. And since then it's been nearly 15 months. Nothing has changed in Thai politics. In fact, the election results have been systematically now successfully subverted. The vote did not count, basically, because the winning party has been dissolved. So it's a deja vu, but it's also a new kind of a uncharted territory that we've not seen in Thai politics, because the charge normally to dissolve a party, it involves corruption, fraud, but this time Move Forward is charged for trying to amend the lèse-majesté law. They haven't done anything. This is a campaign pledge. If they were to go ahead and do it, it would have to take place within Parliament, and the bill may not pass to become law. But that alone, to campaign alone before the election to amend the lèse-majesté law has been deemed as a violation, as an overthrow of the democratic system with the king as a head of state. So it's a very severe, unprecedented charge and conviction.
Professor, I understand what you're saying, and I understand and realize the importance of it as well. But in reality, my question is, how much difference does this court ruling actually make? I mean, we know 11 members were banned, the party dissolved. But we also know that Move Forward was already consigned to the opposition. Pita no longer leads the party, and it sounds like there's going to be a regrouping tomorrow anyway.
Well, it has been a kind of a foregone conclusion. It just has dragged on. I mean, you mentioned that since the election, Move Forward won the election. In most other countries, Move Forward and Pheu Thai, the second largest winning party, should have formed the government. They won 2/3 of the vote. But there were some power plays, some maneuvers to split them apart, charge Move Forward, sideline them, relegate them to the opposition, and then co-opting Pheu Thai, bringing Thaksin back, the founder of Pheu Thai, and then allowing Sethar to be prime minister. So all of this has taken place over the last 15 months. So many kind of thought that it's a foregone conclusion. Yesterday basically was a fulfillment of the speculation and anticipation that people had that Move Forward would be dissolved. But it's a big deal around here, Arnold, because it's dissolving party and banning the elected representatives. It means that Thailand's political talent gets reduced, and the party stands for certain ideas: reform, progress, change, modernization. And when this happens, it means that Thailand is not changing. It's going back to the past, not to the future. So the Move Forward dissolution, I mean, the party will form another party, but every time it gets weaker and weaker, and democratic development in Thailand gets weakened and undermined in the process.
Indeed, Professor, as you said, Move Forward announced that the surviving lawmakers would regroup and they'll form a new party. Do you expect significant changes in their approach or strategy with the successor party? And will they retain that same level of influence and effectiveness in challenging the conservative establishment?
But Future Forward, Move Forward, they are party names, but in fact, they represent a movement. So the successor party will have a similar platform, a similar base, and if anything, the base will widen, will expand, because we saw Future Forward dissolution in 2020, leading to a stunning victory of Move Forward in 2023. Now, the next election, most likely the successor party will also be even bigger. Now, it could also be that the establishment forces will keep dissolving these parties again and again. Over the last 2 decades, we also had 2 military coups. So it seems that we've had either judicial interventions to prevent the winning parties from ruling or military intervention. So, the successor party will have a lot of work to do because, forming a party, even though they have a movement, they're very popular, it still involves a lot of groundwork, a lot of homework, setting up committees and coming up with new leaders and so on. So it'll be a setback for them for at least 6 months to 18 months to get the new party going. But going to the next election, it looks like they'll win even more based on the record of Future Forward becoming Move Forward.
Right. Professor, meantime, the US, the EU, the UN and human rights groups have all blasted the court's decision. I want to quote what the State Department spokesperson Matt Miller said, urging Thailand to ensure fully inclusive political participation and the freedoms of association and expression. So my question is anyone among the ruling elite in Thailand going to be paying any attention? Because, if you like, the past presidents doesn't really, paint a positive picture.
The US, the EU, UN, the reactions to be expected, and it's all fine and good. They're basically speaking up for millions and millions of Thais who voted and were disenfranchised. So those are the voices of the West speaking up for Thais who don't have a voice in Thailand. But more importantly, I think that the countries we need to hear from, and we've seen some around here, is Japan, South Korea, even our ASEAN friends that are democratic. Because the West, they have certain positions, and the Thai elites easily can kind of dismiss them because it's a Western kind of lecturing, preaching. But if we hear more Asian voices of democratic development, Asian democracies speaking up for Thailand, that's what we want to hear, especially a country like India. We've seen some South Korean positions, Japan, but where is India, or even our ASEAN friends, Indonesia, including Singapore? Democracy, democratic development for Thailand is not just good for Thailand, it's good for the region. If Thailand can turn the corner, this big corner that's been suppressed for the last 2 decades, then ASEAN could be more united, more cohesive, more central in the regional maintenance of stability and security and prosperity.
Professor, thank you very much for your time and for your thoughts. Appreciate it. We were talking to Professor Thitinan Pongsudhirak, who is Executive Director at the Institute of Security and International Studies at Chulalongkorn University.